After so many fed up conservatives literally turned Bud Light into a national punchline last year, you would think that corporate CEOs would learn a lesson and retreat from all these woke marketing policies and internal policies and so forth. But as filmmaker Robby Starbuck has revealed, even all-American brands like Tractor Supply Company, like John Deere, these corporations have been infected by DEI policies, by leftist campaign donations, by climate issues, by trans activism, and a host of other things. But we are seeing a reverse course, at least among some, in recent times. And one of those is the motorcycle manufacturer Harley Davidson, which was one of the latest brands that Starbuck had his sights set on. And joining me now to discuss what he found at Harley Davidson is filmmaker and host of the Robby Starbuck Show, Robby Starbuck himself. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. It's great to have you.
Thanks, Jody. I appreciate it. This has been an incredible past few months taking down these companies. And I don't know if you saw before we came on the show today, I announced that Jack Daniels actually was supposed to be our next target after Harley Davidson. And they preempted our video coming out because they knew that we had been looking into the company. And they put out an email, a statement to employees dropping all their DEI and woke policies as well before our video came out, which I think was incredibly smart on their part to go ahead and change those policies before their brand was destroyed over a period of a month of people getting to understand the types of values they had adopted.
Amazing. Well, I'm not a huge fan of Jack Daniels, but I do want to get to that. Let's get to that here in just a few moments. Let's start, though, with Harley Davidson. They obviously, likewise, have hit the brakes on what they were doing. Tell us what you found when you literally pulled back the curtain on Harley.
Well, in every one of these companies, you find some commonalities that are just absolutely absurd. One of them is they seem like they've accepted becoming subservient to a group called the HRC. I'm not even going to say what that stands for because it's ludicrous to call themselves campaigners against, to fix human rights abuses, because that is the exact opposite in my mind of what they do. But the HRC created something called CEI scores. It's the Corporate Equality Index. And companies have essentially been beholden to the idea that they need to score 100% on these CEI scores or they're in trouble, right? Okay, so it's turned into this ludicrous thing in corporate America. And 100% score on the CEI score means that you are funding sex changes for not only adults, but you're also funding transition, medicines and procedures for children, okay, in some cases. So, I think everybody understands the names of these companies that we're talking about. These are companies that depend on the conservative consumer. There is no excuse for them fraternizing with a group like the HRC, who fundamentally and openly hate Republicans. So that on just a very simple level, people understand. But beyond that, when you get into the corporate dynamics, they've got essentially clubs. They're called ERG groups. And ERG groups are focused essentially along identity politics. So you've got groups within the business, and their club is entirely about the type of sex they like, okay? That is just bizarre. I don't know about you, but when I was working, before I became an entrepreneur myself and ran my own businesses, when I was working, talking about sex at work was sexual harassment, and you were not supposed to do it. Now they've got clubs at these companies to essentially rally around the type of sex certain people like. So I think that, people need to know where their money's going, in essence. And with Harley, we found them funding a pride event where there was, a drag queen section where children could interact with them. And then they had something adjacent to that called a rage room for people to let out their rage. And then adjacent to that was play catch with the dad for the people who had daddy issues at that pride event. This is all absurd stuff. I mean, you go down the line, they were recommending books like White Fragility to their employees at Harley Davidson. White Fragility is written by somebody named Robin DiAngelo, who's a far left activist. And what underpins the thesis of her book is essentially white people are blamed for everything. And America is just laden with white supremacy, and that essentially we're just a racist country. And for a corporation, a major corporation that depends on the conservative consumer, to push this garbage on their employees, and to use money that their hardworking consumers bring to that company in good faith, thinking they're supporting a great American company, and to turn around and use it to fund these woke causes is just absurd, and we can't have it anymore. And so, I've gotten a lot of credit from people for doing this, but to be honest, the credit goes to, I have a very large following, and the people have risen up. I've just given the information. I'm a megaphone, and they have taken it and run with it and held these companies responsible.
All right, we've only got a couple of minutes left, so I do want to get to the Jack Daniels that you brought up, but all right, so you expose this at a company like John Deere, Tractor Supply, whatever. What happens next?
Well, we do it over a long period of time because the natural PR response to a story like this say, oh, let's wait for it to blow over. So we make sure it can't blow over. This is going to be a story for weeks, if not months, to make it very difficult for the company to ignore it. And the public sentiment is going to continue to go negative against them as a byproduct of people learning what's going on. So as part of that goes on, we also have an easy way for people to contact these companies. It's a one-click option through something called Citizen Caller. They're able to click to call or send an email to let the company know how they feel about them adopting these woke policies. This has been extremely effective. And then the companies turn around inevitably and always post a statement as they cancel their DEI and woke policies. Amazing. All right, real quickly, you started with this. Jack Daniels obviously caught wind that you had them in their sights. What happened? Yeah, we think they know they caught on because we intentionally look at the LinkedIn pages of all of the executives and, specific employees in HR and PR. And we do that to kind of let them know. It's kind of like a warning shot, like we are looking at you. And we think that that's probably why they had the meeting and decided to do this, because obviously they've seen the string of the companies making these announcements, and their email was designed almost exactly like the Harley statement, the Tractor Supply statement, with bullet points of we're changing this, and it includes all the things that we want from these companies. They're no longer engaging with the HRC CEI score. They're cutting the woke trainings. No more donations to events that don't have anything to do with the core business and core product. It's all about bringing a neutral environment back to the workplace and making work again. Imagine that. So it doesn't matter who you vote for and stuff. Like, work should just be a place where you do work, not a place where you argue about politics and social issues. Absolutely. Robby Starbuck, host of the Robby Starbuck Show. Awesome work. Incredible. Thank you so much for all you're doing, and thank you for sharing it here on Washington Watch with us. Thank you, Jody. Appreciate it.